Hari Om. This is about our group discussion. All serious sadhaks, all those who are seriously interested in learning Vedanta, who are seriously interested in pursuing the path, need to take to group discussion. This is where the work really starts, where we start training our own intellect to be able to comprehend. Remember, in this path, we're not here to follow anybody. We're here to learn for ourselves, to educate ourselves. And educating ourselves means that it has become us. It's not just this information lying around in our heads. So if it's just Vedanta information, what's the point? You can look up Vedanta information on Google just as you can look up any information. So that's not what we're trying to do, not trying to just get some information on Google or something like that. That information has to be us. True knowledge is what we are, not what we talk about. So how are we going to convert that information which we have into being that person? There's only one way to do this, and it's called reflection. So the thing is that there has to be a dedicated time for reflection every day. The recommended time, as you always have heard, is between 4 and 6 in the morning. And that's called Brahmamurta. That's when the sattvic content is high in us and therefore easier for us to reflect. However, now if you can't make it up between 4 and 6, then whenever we get up first thing in the morning, we must study for ourselves, reflect for ourselves. Studying means 20% reading and 80% reflection. Think. Now, when you do this thinking, you will get questions. And when you get questions, you need to apply yourself to those questions before you bring them up in class or before you ask any sort of authority figures about it. So one forum to do that is group discussion. And the forum is for us to even express our questions properly. We have to learn how to do that too, right? So sometimes it's a muddle and we need help in expressing the question. And then we need help in thinking about that question. So group discussion is a kind of joint reflection where we can all get together and reflect on some things. And this is a great time for us because it's a training of ourselves. It's not all authority figures are removed from group discussion. It is amongst peers. And since there's nobody now to tell you whether you're thinking right or you're thinking wrong, you don't know this. You have to figure it out. And we figure it out together, helping one another. So this is the forum for us to train ourselves in the art of thinking and in the art of discipline in thinking. And this effort which we put in is what is going to give us that elusive clarity that we are all looking for. So let's understand what exactly we are supposed to do, or what exactly are we training ourselves in over here. So the four things that we must learn through our group discussion process. The first one is learning to listen, and active listening. That means I'm genuinely trying to understand what is this person trying to ask, or what is this person trying to say. Can I help formulate the question? Can I try and understand this person's answer, even though that person may not be expressing it so well? So I'm listening, and I must learn to listen and to repeat what that person has said. So even if someone asks a question, I learn to repeat the question so that I know and the questioner knows that this question has been communicated. Otherwise, we tend to just say what we want. We will give the answer we want to give. Never mind what the question is. So first train ourselves in listening. The first training we are giving ourselves is in listening to the question, listening to answers, listening to clarification, listening charitably, listening actively, listening with the intent to understand what the person is trying to communicate, no matter what are the words that person is using. Then the second thing we have to train ourselves is learning to think. So hopefully in the group discussion, there'll be a lot of quiet time where we're all just thinking quietly ourselves. So there's lots of just silence in group discussion. No need for somebody to be talking at all times. Just silent, because we're doing some amount of thinking on what has been said. That's what we're really trying to do. And then thirdly, we learn over here patience, or learning to wait. To wait. You have to wait our turn. Everybody cannot speak at the same time. A basic rule is only one person speaks at one time. So wait, listen, wait our turn. Wait, even if people cannot understand what we are saying, wait, hold it. We can learn to hold our horses. Otherwise, there's so much enthusiasm to say whatever we want to say. And one important rule of the discussion is monitor's decision is final. Every group discussion will have one monitor, and whatever that person's decision is on the rules, of course, is final. So if you are unhappy with the decision, don't worry about it. Wait, one day you will be the monitor. You can take your revenge that day. But today you have to listen to what this monitor has said. So wait, learn to wait. And the fourth thing we, of course, teach ourselves is self-discipline. How can you say whatever you want to say in the briefest possible way? Will you train yourself to speak only when you're given permission to speak? Will you train yourself that when somebody else is speaking, you're all ears, there's nothing to you but ears? So, learning self-discipline. These are the four things that we should train ourselves in group discussion: listening, thinking, waiting, and self-discipline. Now, nobody's monitoring us, so we have to do all our monitoring really ourselves. What is going on inside me? It's I who have to monitor. There's nobody else to do that. So these are the four things that we hope to accomplish for ourselves by attending group discussion. Now, to help us think, there is a book, How Do You Know What You Know? Please read that book because it gives the basics of about learning to think. Now, many of you all will say, oh, Bapre, I have no time to read the whole book. If you don't have time to read the whole book, then here are a few pages chosen specially for the purpose of group discussion. And these are the pages. In chapter 1, pages 16 to 28. Chapter 1 is actually available on the net. It's available on the website of the book, same name as the book. And you can even download chapter 1 and read pages 16 to 28. These tell us the wrong ways of thinking. How, we in the belief that we are thinking, we're actually having all sorts of indisciplined and erroneous thoughts. Then chapter 3 tells us what to watch out for. How do we ensure that our thinking is correct? So reading pages 59 to 75 will help us avoid the errors that we make as we are thinking. Things so simple such as just learning to define terms before you start discussing them. Things so simple as knowing that this particular answer is just a repetition of the question in different words. There's no real answer here. So these things we'll understand. And chapter 9 actually talks about what really is the processes of reflection. How many different types of reflection there is, and what are those various processes. So the suggestion is to at least read so much so you can make the most of your time in group discussion. Now, this is the general principles of group discussion. There are some processes, guidelines given, and let's just run through these. Now, these group discussions are held twice a month. Of these group discussions, one is small GD. Small GD means the big group, the whole group breaks up into small groups of maybe 5, 6 members, and they discuss their question in the small group. And this is one GD. And the second GD is big GD, the big group discussion, where we all meet again and we will go through those questions together. Everybody will hear the questions and the answers, and then we'll do that again. So every time the small group will of course be different, because we want to interact, hear different ideas, find different ways of doing things. The first thing the small group does, is choose a group monitor. And then any member of the group can ask a question. Whoever raises his hand first asks the question. So you raise your hand by raising your left thumb. Left thumb because it represents the Atman. So raise your thumb by asking the permission of the monitor by raising your thumb. Now this question, whichever the group has decided to answer, should be written down by all the team members, all the group members. And whatever is written down has to be written down in the same words. It's not like everybody has different questions. It's exactly the same question, written down exactly the same way. Once this process is done, everybody has the same question written down. I mean, all this after you've clarified the question, identified the question, and you have a final question. Then silence. In this silence, you think about it for 5-7 minutes. Think about the question and what is its answer, and write down your own answer as briefly as you can, maybe 2-3 sentences. Because everybody writes a thesis on it, you will never have time, right? So, as briefly as possible, write your answer down. Then raise your left thumb when the monitor says, okay, now you can present your answers. Then raise your left thumb and ask for the permission of the monitor, and the monitor will give you permission, and then you speak. Okay, so this goes on for the rest of the group discussion. And the last 10 minutes, formulate the final answer. Decide what the final answer is according to the group. Now, this final question which you've written down and the final answer which is written down by consensus in the group. Okay, so it's written down. The answer is also written down. This will be presented, the written question and the written answer will be presented to the big group by the group monitor. If there is no consensus in the group on what the answer is, then the monitor will tell us the question and will say no consensus. So that's how the process is. Now, there are some guidelines also in this. That firstly, in the first 1 minute, choose the monitor. Don't do pele up. First 1 minute, just choose a monitor. Everybody's going to get a chance to be a monitor sooner or later. So just choose the monitor. Any member can be the monitor for that day. And the role of the monitor is only to make sure that the rules are maintained. The monitor has no say on the answer, but that the rules are maintained. Of course, as you know, the decision of the monitor is final. In other words, if the monitor feels you're taking too much time talking and says, okay, your time is over, then your time is over. Whatever the monitor says, the decision of the monitor is final. So the questions that you can ask in the group discussion are only things that are matter which is studied in class, is in Swamiji's books, only such things, because we can't be discussing anything and everything. So only restrict that. Take the permission of the monitor before speaking. Speaking involves you can clarify the question, you can clarify somebody's answer, you can present your own answer, you can of course present your own question, you can do all of this, but one person speaks at one time and the monitor ensures that this is maintained. Now don't take too long for the answer, only 2 minutes. Now, when the big group discussion happens, we will all meet, all of us, everybody who participated in the small group discussion will meet together along with the person taking the class, and all these people will meet together. The question will be read, the answer will be read by the monitor, and the monitor will also tell us who are the members of the group who discussed this. And this will be presented to the big group. And we will clarify the answers or whatever at that time. So that's it about group discussion. All the best for your reflection and study of this subject.